I think what I've learned in 50 years is that I am who I am, and my becoming has been more shaped by little daily choices than huge, big, sweeping life decisions. Hey friends, welcome to the Ruth Jo Simons podcast. Today's a really special episode for me because I am turning 50 this Sunday. I can't even believe it. I mean, I've been telling y'all about this coming because I had an episode about how I felt like my body was really changing in this season and how I was feeling in this season. I've alluded to the fact that this has been a year of a lot of transitions and a lot of wanted and unwanted changes. And, I'm in a launching season and a holding close season. I have a adult child who has moved out and has a serious girlfriend. And I have a 12-year-old who is navigating, I don't know, all the preteen emotions and all the things that we just keep reminding him, this is just a season. It's okay to feel some of these things. So I'm in the middle of a lot of things, but turning 50 feels like, I don't know. I always thought that it would feel just like any other day, but I think it has felt more of a milestone than 40 did for me. And I think in part because, and maybe because Troy's 2 years ahead of me. So he turned 50 2 years ago and has said, I don't know if I like that he said this, but I'll tell you what he said. He goes, babe, I just really realized that the slower half of my life is over. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And he just said, well, because it felt like forever to get to 50. Like this was a long journey of life. I don't know if it felt like forever, but just that it was a lot of learning and a lot of growing. And he said, it just really occurred to me that the next 50, should I have 50, will go by a lot faster. And so, I think it's been a real eye-opening time and eye-opening season. I don't know how many of you listening are under 50 and how many of you are joining me in this second half of life kind of season. But regardless, I thought in celebration of my 50th birthday this Sunday, I thought maybe I would share with you some notes I jotted down of words and thoughts I would say to myself in retrospect for each decade of my life, including a word to myself going into my 50s. So does that sound good? I don't know if this is something that potentially might serve your young person in your life, or if you are a young lady, or if you are somebody who can send it on to somebody further on, wherever you are. If you are a younger woman or an older woman, there's probably somebody in your life who could adapt these reminders for their own season. So, am I wise as I approach the days before my 50th birthday? I'm wiser than I was last year, but am I really all wise? No, Lord, please help me with that as well. So these are some things that I would like to say to my younger self. To my 10-year-old self, this is what I'd like to say. Your thighs are not too big, dear. And someday everyone will love Chinese food. So keep on bringing your lunches, keep holding your head high, and be kind to yourself. It's okay if you don't look like everyone else, dress like everyone else, and is not everyone's favorite. You're never going to be everyone's favorite. Well, that was kind of personal, but I wanted you to hear me start off with my 10-year-old self because there was a lot of inner dialogue in that season about how I looked and whether people liked me or not. So maybe you resonate. Okay, to my 20-year-old self, you're not behind. You will not be more whole if you find the love of your life. You were made to be fully satisfied in Jesus. So invest more in your relationship with Him. These days feel long and endless right now, but you won't ever regret developing spiritual disciplines right now while you still have capacity and bandwidth. To my 30-year-old self, don't rush or resent the season you're in. I know it feels like you're still trying to figure out what you're doing with your life, what your actual style is, who your real friends are, and what your purpose on this earth is. But enjoy being in progress. Don't idealize arriving or being stable or being settled. It's not as perfect as you think. God's inviting you to learn dependency. So don't miss this lesson trying to make it on your own. To my 40-year-old self, you're not old. You're getting well seasoned. But girl, it's time to pay attention to your self-care and health for real. I know it feels like your job is to take care of everyone else, but you're not going to honor God or use your giftings well in the long run if you don't steward what He's given you today. Things like time, energy, resources, your body, and your mind. Pay attention to what you're thinking about, how you use your time, how you entertain yourself, who you share your life with, and the habits that are part of your every single day, because they're forming you more than you know. Well, before I tell you what I would say to my, and what I am saying to my 50-year-old self this Sunday, um, I just want to say, hindsight is always 2020, which is why we can write these notes to our younger selves. But if I were to summarize all four of those words to my younger self in each decade of my life, I would say the biggest lesson that I've probably learned is that your becoming, your shaping, your forming is happening day by day, moment by moment. It's not one big decision that you made. It's not one big career path. It's not how many kids you have or what house you chose to buy. I'd remind myself that it's not the big things that you think you need to nail, like where are we going to live and what job are we going to take? Yeah, those things really are important. But I think the lesson that I'm feeling and learning to my 10-year-old self, 20-year-old self, 30-year-old self, 40-year-old self, I'm seeing the pattern again and again. The thoughts that are in my head, the habits that are in my life, the ways I would use my time, energy, resources, what thoughts I allowed to consume my mind, that's what's shaping me. That's what's forming me. And if I could go back to my 10-year-old self, those are thoughts about how everybody thinks of me and what they see when they look at my body or the food that I bring to lunch or the friends that I have or whether I'm picked on the playground or not. In my 20s, it's the same thing. What thoughts are consuming my mind about who loves me and who am I going to share my life with and whether or not I am valued if I don't find the love of my life and how will I ever feel whole? Those are the narratives and the questions that were going on then. And to my 30-year-old self, that statement I read and that note to self was based on a lot of thoughts and a lot of narratives about wanting to get it all figured out, spending my days trying to choose the right path, determine God's will for my life. And when I look back, I think I was more shaped in my 30s by what I did in small, everyday moments than the big things and the big decisions. Those things were important too, but it was really how I chose to deal with my thoughts, how I chose to engage in the quiet moments of my day, how I talked to my kids when nobody was looking, how I worked on my marriage when it wasn't easy. Those were the things that shaped my 30s. And then to my 40-year-old self, um, because it's so fresh, I see how much I was shaped every day by what filled my time, what consumed my thoughts, what happened on my phone, what habits I had, whether I did the hard thing or just coasted my way through life. That's really what was shaping my 40s. And so, in summary, I think what I've learned in 50 years is that I am who I am, and my becoming has been more shaped by little daily choices than huge, big, sweeping life decisions. And in the middle of that, in my 20s, as I truly walked with the Lord and understood the gospel, God's work of sanctification changed me in dramatic ways, yes, but also in subtle ways where the call was to lay down my life and lay down my sin and lay down what came naturally, moment by moment, day by day. It wasn't that I made one big life decision to stop being this way and be this way. Some of us have testimonies like that. But my story is one where you may not have even seen how self-sufficient I was in my 20s, or how much I was trying to work my way into God's perfect plan in my 30s, or how much I may have let a lot of disciplines kind of not be at the forefront of my mind in my 40s. Those things may not be seen super well on the outside, but the fight within was going on. And in each decade, the way I chose to either address those things or not address them were consequential, affected my becoming. But God in his kindness used every step of that to refine me, to grow me, to change me, to convict me, to burden my heart, to cause me to really hate my sin and want more of Christ. And I'm still in progress in that. But if I were to summarize what I would tell my younger self in all four previous decades, it's to pay attention to the small, everyday things that are shaping you, because they are shaping you. And so, to what I would say to my 50-year-old self as of Sunday going forward, it's this: don't wait until tomorrow. Today is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice, give thanks, be focused, and persevere with intention. Don't coast. It's not too late to make this second half of life the very best half, full of depth of relationship with the Lord, rich friendships, healthy habits, and new goals. It's not too late to make a decision to not let life happen to me, but to actually choose which direction I want to go in my becoming. I would say to myself, and I do say to myself as I go forward, God has you here on purpose for a purpose. So don't waste it. The best is still yet to come. Trust him to make these days memorable. Don't try to make them memorable. Just enjoy who he is day by day. So those are the life lessons. Maybe in the next couple of years, I'll give you guys an update on all the things that I learned then. But for now, you'll be hearing more about these life lessons because I've really been sitting with them, thinking on them, finding ways to process all these things that I've learned and make it accessible to you, my friends, through the podcast, through new writing, but in ways that will help us remember to press on day by day in very small daily choices because we want to be fit for heaven and we want to enjoy Jesus in our daily lives all along the way. So don't wait. Whether you're turning 50 like I am, or you're right smack dab in one of the previous seasons I talked about, trust him and press in right where you are. All right, friends, thanks for joining me on this special episode. Can't wait to be on the other side of this milestone. I'll see y'all next week and got some exciting things coming up too. So God bless you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friends. Love you all.